Oklahoma, what happened? How was TCU? Oklahoma, it lost 2 games a row. We don't know how to make the playoff this year.
Gosh, man, I'm looking at this and I'm having a hard time trying to figure out where I want to start with this because it was pitiful. It was piss poor, pitiful, and embarrassing in every aspect of the game. What makes it even worse? Here's a little fun fact for you. Guess who's the offensive coordinator for TCU? Lincoln Riley's brother, Garrett Riley. I learned a couple of different things from this game, and the bad part about this for Georgia is Alabama is going to turn on this film and they're going to watch it, and they are going to exploit the same thing Missouri did. You got exposed. Let's just say this is going to be a very, and I mean a very interesting video. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 5 recap. Can y'all believe it? Week 5 is already over. We are nearly halfway through the regular season. As soon as every week's over, I think to myself, and a lot of times I say it in my videos, man, can college football get better than this? There's no way we can top last week, and somehow, some way we do it. I don't know if this is by chance or coincidence, but I swear, and I promise you, the last 2 years of college football, it's been the most 2 entertaining years I've ever witnessed. What a time to be alive, man. What a time. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even know how to describe what happened Saturday. It was something I've never seen before. There's not a word for it. We have so many things to talk about in this video. It might be a long one, so you better strap in, get you your favorite meal, get you a drink, get some popcorn, because we got to talk about so many different things. All the way from Oklahoma getting Donkey Kong Ping Pong Schlong Dong Bing Bong Smash by TCU to Alabama going up 28-0 against Arkansas. Then it's a close game, 28-23. Then out of nowhere, they just blow them out. Then at night, we got Clemson. They beat NC State. It was just chaos. Whoa. Hold on. Y'all didn't think I forgot to mention it, did you? You know we got to talk about Georgia barely escaping the worst team in the SEC, and they flat out got exposed. Wait a minute. Did I hear that correctly? Did somebody say SEC? I think they did. Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M also got exposed. Without a shadow of a doubt, though, the main topics is Oklahoma, Georgia, and Alabama. Alabama is the new number 1 team in the country. Don't care what anybody says. They're back to number 1. We've got a lot to get into. This is the Week 5 recap. I hope you guys are excited as always to get into this. And I'm really enjoying this new video series we're doing on the channel where we recap the games. It seems like you guys love it, and I enjoy making it as well. Real quick, though, before we dive into things, we are super close to 230,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit it from this video. We're only about 50 to 75 subscribers away, and there's so many people watching right now, you're just simply not subscribed. For those of you that are subscribed, I greatly appreciate your support, and I can't thank you guys enough. The football community we're building on this channel, it's insane. I can't thank you guys enough. I absolutely love this community we're building. If you want to be a part of it, consider subscribing. If not, that's cool too. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Woo! Where shall we start first? Oh man, you already know I'm going to talk about that Alabama game. And finally, for once this year, I was right. In the preview video for the week, I'll throw it up right here, I said Alabama was going to obliterate Arkansas, and I was right. Like I said, though, we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's start off with our 11 a.m. games. Oh yeah, by the way, I do want to throw this in there. On Friday night, if y'all didn't watch this one, you missed a good one. UCLA upset Washington 40-32. That was a good game, and it was also an indication of what was to come the next day. Starting it off hot at 11 a.m., this is where I was wrong. I predicted the upset. I said Iowa, they're going to beat Michigan. J.J. McCarthy, he's going to struggle on the road. Top 5 teams, they always lose at Iowa. And yeah, sadly, I was wrong. For what, the 100th time already this year? As I was watching the game live and I was talking to one of my buddies about this, I have no idea why I picked Iowa to win. They have one of the worst offenses I've ever seen. I just thought that maybe Michigan, they would struggle with Iowa. They wouldn't respect them. And J.J. McCarthy would struggle on the road because Iowa does have a solid defense. However, it was none of that. J.J. McCarthy didn't struggle whatsoever. He only had 6 incompletions. And in reality, he didn't win the game for Michigan because they didn't ask him to do too much. The running back literally had more carries than J.J. McCarthy had pass attempts. There's not too much to say. It was one of those boring Big Ten sluggish games. Michigan just runs the ball, kills the clock. Iowa, they suck. Y'all know how this goes. I'm not going to spend too much more time talking about it. I will give credit where it's due, though. I thought Michigan, that was an impressive win. And I know the score says 27-14. It wasn't that close, trust me. There was no shadow of a doubt about this game. Michigan had complete control from start to finish. Don't get it twisted. Moving on to a weird, odd, and strange game. You got Kentucky and Ole Miss. Ole Miss gets the victory. They pull it out 22-19. And this had a really weird finish because Will Levis for Kentucky, the quarterback, he played good, but he had 2 fumbles within the past, 3 minutes of the game? I don't want to say this loss is entirely on Levis, but also before the fumble that eventually cost him the game, he threw a touchdown pass, but before the touchdown pass, he didn't let his offense get set in time before he snapped the ball. That's not on his center. That's on Levis's fault. He's the leader. He's got to make sure everybody's set, and he cost him a go-ahead touchdown. And the way Ole Miss was playing on offense, I had no reason to believe they was going to go down the field and score a touchdown to retake the lead. To make a long story short, if you didn't watch this game, I don't think Ole Miss won it. I think Kentucky lost it, and I still think Kentucky's the better team. That's how it goes, though, sometimes in college football. The better team does not always win. I felt bad for Mark Stoops and that entire Kentucky program because the one thing that has been missing from that program's career and Mark Stoops' career is a signature win on the road. I don't know what it is about it. They cannot get that signature win, and this one would have been big. On the flip side for Ole Miss, they're shocking everybody. They're probably going to be ranked inside the top 10, and they're sitting at a very pretty 5-0. Do I personally think Ole Miss is a top 10 team? No, I don't even think they're a top 15 team, but it is what it is. You know how the AP poll works. Let me put it this way. I don't want to talk about it too much. The AP poll, it's not really rankings. It's more of standings, if that makes sense. I can't explain it. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. The people who make the AP poll, they try to base their future rankings off of their preseason rankings, and it shouldn't be that way. For example, if a team's unranked going into the season and they have 3 incredible wins, the AP voters, they're still not going to put them in the top 10. They're going to slowly make them work their way up. That's a different conversation for a different day. Let's get a move on. I'm sorry, Oklahoma fans. I almost want to cry for you. This was very bad and very ugly to watch. I'm looking at the score right now, and I still can't believe it. And the saddest part about it is TCU probably could have scored 80 if they wanted to. They gave Oklahoma mercy. It was almost like Oklahoma was waving the white flag, and they was like, stop scoring. It was just that bad, and I can't emphasize it enough. What makes it even worse? Here's a little fun fact for you. Guess who's the offensive coordinator for TCU? Lincoln Riley's brother, Garrett Riley. Oklahoma was getting torched by Lincoln Riley's brother. How ironic is that? This is what college football is all about. You can't make this stuff up. Gosh, man, I'm looking at this, and I'm having a hard time trying to figure out where I want to start with this because it was pitiful. It was poor, pitiful, and embarrassing in every aspect of the game. Let's start off with this. The main issue right now. The defense is straight up atrocious, and they can't tackle anybody. I don't know what it is. You can blame Brent Venables all you want. You can blame the defensive coordinator, but at the end of the day, these players got to tackle better. That's one thing that stood out the most to me. They was in position to make plays, but they couldn't. And it mind boggles me because these players, they're not Joe Schmoes. They're talented. And then we got to talk about this. What is up with TCU wide receivers sitting wide open? The amount of busted coverages I saw from Oklahoma's defense, you just can't let that happen. And if it does happen, well, a team's going to score 50 points against you. Whose fault is that? Is that the player's fault? Is that the coach's fault? I don't know, but somebody's got to take the blame. And then I'm pretty sure we all saw it happen in the second quarter. Dillon Gabriel, he got lit up. I even tweeted about this. I tweet during the games. And whoa, hold on. I haven't said this in a while. Go follow me on Twitter. I'm going to throw my Twitter up right here. And everyone that follows me back from this video, I'm going to follow you. And if I don't see it because I can't see all the notifications sometimes, just tweet at me. Say, hey, Matt, can I get a follow? And I'm going to follow every single one of you that do that. I love interacting with you guys on Twitter. It's so fun. It's probably one of my favorite things about Saturdays is when you guys are tweeting at me, calling me an idiot, saying this and saying that. And hey, even sometimes y'all can compliment me. I understand that may be rare, but like I said, it's all fun and games. We like to tweet. Y'all tweet at me. We go back and forth. It's awesome. Shoot me a follow on Twitter if you like interacting with me on college football. I love doing that with you guys. Let's get back on topic. Since we're talking about Dillon Gabriel, I might as well speak on this. My prayers and thoughts go out to him. I never want to see that happen. We saw that happen with Tua. Bad situation, but we got to talk about football. Before that hit, he was playing awful, and I think that's a nice way to say it. I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback have that many overthrows in the first half. And I am talking about wide receivers that are wide open, and he's overthrown them by 4 or 5 yards. And here's the reason I'm concerned with it. I didn't talk about it in the past few prior weeks because I was like, okay, maybe it's just a one-time thing, but no, this is a reoccurrence every week. Go watch the film on the Nebraska game. Even in that game when they blew him out by 40 points, he had overthrows. But it wasn't a big deal because you're up by 40. It's not going to be highlighted. I will say this, I did see Oklahoma fans talking about it then, and they said, hey, if he doesn't fix it, it could be a problem. And yeah, it was a problem against TCU. Overthrowing wide receivers when you're up by 40 against Nebraska, Tulane, or any team like that, not a big deal. But when you're playing TCU and you're down by 10 points, 17 points, and you're having overthrows, it's a red flag. I could sit up here all day and we can play the blame game and try to blame Dylan Gabriel. The bottom line was, it didn't matter who was playing quarterback, you more than likely was not going to win this game giving up 55 points. And if it did get close, like I stated, TCU probably could have scored 70 or 77. It's hard for me to even believe that came out of my mouth saying that TCU could have scored 70 or 77 points if they wanted to or needed to. But they could have. Okay, let's try to make a long story short. Is Dylan Gabriel playing good? No. Could he play better? Yes. But that's not the main problem. The main problem is the defense. I always try to, and I like to give credit to the winning teams, because a lot of times when we see these upsets, where if Alabama loses or Georgia loses or Oklahoma loses, the headline isn't, oh, TCU played a great ball game. The headline is, oh, Oklahoma, they suck and they just had a bad game. Anytime Alabama loses, what's the headline? It's not that Texas A&M beat Alabama. The headline is Alabama beat Alabama themselves. You see what I'm saying? So before we go any farther, let's clap it up and give some credit to TCU. I thought they played a great game. To all my Oklahoma fans that are watching this video, if you don't listen to a single other thing I say in this video, listen to this part. I get it. I understand it 100%. You are worried. You should be. If you're not worried, you're not a true fan. You're coming off of 2 back-to-back losses, one of those being against TCU, which was embarrassing. But I'm going to offer you some insight and some information. Nick Saban in his first year at Alabama went 7-6. Kirby Smart in his first year at Georgia went 8-5. Whenever Saban got to Alabama, they was in a terrible situation and he had to rebuild them up. But Kirby Smart, when he got to Georgia, it was similar to Venables. They had a lot of talent. Still, with that being said, Georgia had talent. They only went 8-5. I say that to say this. This year, it might be rough, and more than likely, it will be rough, but sometimes to take a step forward, you gotta take 2 steps back. Give Venables some time, man. You gotta give this guy at minimum 3 to 4 years. Give him some time. Look, I get it. We're in 2022. People's patience level is at an all-time low. This isn't the 1980s, 90s, or early 2000s where coaches were pretty much guaranteed a couple of years at least. You now only have a couple of years to prove you can be the guy. If not, you're gone. I'm telling you, give him some patience. A good example, look at Florida State. Mike Norvell, he was doing a terrible job when he first got there. Now, they're undefeated. Why? Because the Florida State athletic director gave him time. Well, actually, let me go back on that statement. I forgot they're not undefeated anymore, but they're looking good. They're looking solid. I know it looks rough, but I wouldn't push the panic button just quite yet. I would try to remain optimistic. Moving on to our 2:30 games. Ohio State absolutely Donkey Kong smashes Rutgers. Nobody's shocked about this. Rutgers, they suck. Ohio State, play some real competition, man. Oklahoma State beats Baylor 36-25, and now it looks like Oklahoma State is the team to beat in the Big 12. And weirdly enough, I guess you could throw Kansas in that conversation as well, because they're 5-0. Oh, brother, Kansas. I'll talk about them a little later. Penn State with the typical let down and struggle win Big Ten game where they barely win 17-7 against a sorry Northwestern team. You can't make this stuff up. Sean Clifford either looks like 2019 Joe Burrow or 2021 Bo Nix. No in-betweens. 10 for 20, $140, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, QBR of 37.9. And some of y'all wonder why I say the Big Ten sucks. This is what I'm talking about. These teams are still playing like it's the 1980s and 90s. You gotta get on with the program. You throw Northwestern, Iowa, or Rutgers in the SEC, I don't know if they could win 3 games. But since they're in the Big Ten, they're always going to be those 8-5 and 7-6 teams that sometimes pull off an upset. Checking out this game, Wake Forest bounces back impressively against Florida State and beats them 31-21. I don't think there's too much to say there. Sam Hartman, he's a good quarterback. He played good in that game. And Florida State, we all know they're not a legit contender. Now, finally, moving on to the main topic, the main encore, or actually one of the main topics, the main encores. We got Alabama and Arkansas. Clap it up, Matt. Clap it up for yourself. You was finally right, you idiot. You idiot, Matt. Called one finally. I predicted Alabama was going to obliterate them, and I was right. Feels good to finally be right on a prediction. Is that the first time this year? It's so sad, man. It's so sad. I have a lot to say about this game, so let's fast forward in time to when Alabama's driving. It's 14-0. And then Bryce Young, he has to go out of the game with an apparent shoulder injury. He hurt his shoulder. It is what it is, tough injury, and maybe we'll talk about that in the up and coming week and give you an update. It couldn't have been at a worse time for Alabama. They're up 14-0. They got all the momentum. The backup quarterback comes in, and he gets them a nice little running touchdown, and they're up 21-0. And then right after that, Alabama scores yet another touchdown to put them up 28-0, and Arkansas gets a late touchdown in the second quarter. Alabama's winning at half 28-7. But, and I have a huge but, I'm telling you right now, I was nervous. Remember, if some of y'all was watching when I live streamed the end of that Texas game, I told y'all I wasn't nervous, and I wasn't. I've said this before on the channel, but I will say it again. After seeing what Bryce Young did last year at Jordan-Hare Stadium, which is Auburn Stadium, lead Alabama on a 99-yard drive with a minute and 0 timeouts, there's nothing to be scared of when Bryce Young's playing quarterback. There's nothing to be nervous about. And I had a bunch of my Alabama friends text me during the Texas game, and they were talking about how nervous they were, and they were like, yo, Matt, why aren't you nervous? And I told them it's simple. Bryce Young's at quarterback. Until that clock hits 0, I am never concerned if Bryce Young's playing quarterback for Alabama. I'm never worried. I want some of y'all to think about it. Ever since Bryce Young has been playing quarterback for Alabama, he has never had a bad game. Think about it. Alabama as a team last year had many bad games, and even this year, they struggled against Texas, but Bryce Young has never played bad. He is special. If you don't believe in the kid and you don't believe in the hype, you're just an idiot. I don't think a lot of you quite understand how talented you have to be to only be 5'10", 175 pounds and win the Heisman Trophy and destroy defenses in the SEC. Did some of y'all not watch what he did against Georgia in the SEC Championship last year? Arguably the best defense of all time? Come on, man. Bryce Young's the real deal. He's the best quarterback in the country, no debate. Keep in mind, I said best college quarterback. When it comes to who's the most NFL ready, maybe Caleb Williams or CJ Stroud, they got the lead over him. But for now, we're not talking about the NFL. We're talking about college. So anyways, getting back on topic, Bryce Young, he goes out the game. We're winning at half by 21 points. Bama fans are feeling good. I wasn't. Just like I said, if Bryce Young's playing, I'm not worried. I'm not nervous. But if he's not, oh yeah, I was nervous watching that entire second half. Even when we was up by 20 points, Bryce Young wasn't in, so I was nervous. Because I know just how good Bryce Young is and how much he carries this Alabama team. I said it all last year. If you take Bryce Young off of that team last year, Alabama goes 8-5. I firmly believe that. If you think otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. You just don't know football. And it's clear as day. You saw it yesterday. As soon as Bryce Young went off the field, it was chaos for Alabama. They looked like they never even picked up a football. And it wasn't just the offense, it was the special teams that even struggled, and the defense. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. When a quarterback goes out of the game, it doesn't just affect the offense, it affects every aspect of the game. It affects the momentum, and it affects the defense, because the defense, the special teams, all these players, they see, dang, man, that's our leader. He's gone. What do we do? It's the same thing with a pack of wolves or a herd of sheep. If the leader of the sheep goes missing, they don't know what to do. They go crazy. To say that Alabama was flustered when Bryce Young left the game, that'd be an understatement. Thankfully, Alabama has a backup quarterback who's built like Derek freaking Henry, and he saved the day, and he just turned on the Jets. And Jahmyr Gibbs, that dude is fast. He is special. He saved the day as well. Had 2 rushing touchdowns of over 70 yards, and the backup quarterback also had that 80-yard run. It was really strange watching this game because Alabama blew them out in the first half. Then Arkansas kind of blew out Alabama in the third quarter. Then in the fourth quarter, Alabama re-blew them out for the second time. At the end of the day, it came down to this. Alabama was too big, too strong, too fast, too talented for Arkansas. I want some of y'all to take a look at these numbers. Bryce Young left early in the second quarter, and he already had a $175 through the air. And I predicted in the preview video he was going to throw for 400 yards. It was inevitable. He threw for nearly 600 yards against this same Arkansas team. And if he wouldn't have went out early in the second quarter, yeah, he probably would have thrown for nearly 500 again. But this is what I want to show y'all. The quarterback, the backup, came in the second quarter and played until the end of the game and only attempted 9 passes. And most of those passes were bubble screens. Maybe only 1 or 2 was deep downfield. So pretty much Alabama beat Arkansas just running the ball the rest of the game. I'd say that's pretty impressive, and we got to throw this in there. The running back Jahmyr Gibbs had 18 carries for 200 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, there's fast, and then there's Jahmyr Gibbs. I told you all offseason, I'm going to pop up a video right here where I said Alabama's going to get scarier and they have a new secret weapon, and it's Jahmyr Gibbs. For those of you that don't know, he hasn't always been on Alabama's team. He's a transfer from Georgia Tech. And every single time I watch Jahmyr Gibbs play, I think of 2 players, Alvin Kamara and Najee Harris. He's a perfect mix of both those guys. He's the most NFL-ready running back in the country right now. I like Bijan Robinson at Texas, but he's not overall NFL ready. This guy, Jahmyr Gibbs, he can do everything. And it was only last week or a couple weeks ago where Jahmyr Gibbs was the leading receiver on the team as well. Here's what impressed me about this Bama team, and it made me a proud fan. They respond to adversity so well, and that's what Nick Saban harps on and teaches. Star quarterback goes out, Arkansas goes on a 23-0 run, and Alabama responds and wins the game. I understand it, Alabama fans, they want to win championships, and they want to beat Auburn, and they want to destroy teams, but these are the games that mean the most to me. Whenever we do face adversity, whenever things don't go our way, we have a bad punt snap, just everything goes wrong, and we're on the road. And we respond to it in a great way. It still gets to me and blows my mind. Alabama fans are so intolerant and spoiled. If they're not beating every single team by 30 points, they think this team's terrible. Me, on the other hand, I've played at a high level. I understand how hard it is to win, and I was just very happy with how we played. One player didn't win the game for Alabama. It was a full-out team effort. I am very proud of my team, and I have no problem saying that because I think Oklahoma fans know how hard it is to win every single week. I think Georgia fans, we'll talk about that in just a second, understand how hard it is to win on the SEC on the road. I said on the SEC, I meant to say in the SEC, you get what I'm trying to say. As far as it goes for Mr. Bryce, he looks like he's going to be A-okay and he's going to bounce back. He should be back next week against good old A&M. Woo-hoo! I can't wait to do the preview on that video, but different video for different day. I can't say enough great things about how proud I am of my team. This is what life is about, responding to adversity. Moving on to another 2:30 game. I'm just going to say it and be brutally honest. How many times have I said on this channel? I said it in the offseason, so don't think I'm hopping on the bandwagon now. I said it, and you remember, A&M fans, where y'all at? I want to see y'all in the comments. I tried telling you Jimbo Fisher's a fraud, and y'all didn't want to believe me. Oh, Matt's delusional. He's crazy. He's just mad because Nick Saban and Alabama's not getting all these 5-star recruits. Now we're getting some skin in the game, and it's going to be fair. Well, listen here, you bozo. I don't know if some of y'all are misunderstood about this, but I'm going to offer you some inside information. College football and coaching, yeah, it's nice to get 4- and 5-star recruits, but it's not all about that. It's about what you get out of your 4- and 5-star recruits. You see, what has separated Alabama and Nick Saban over the past 15 years is not only do they get the best players, they get the most out of the best players. And Nick Saban will tell you this himself. Some of the hardest workers on that team are the best players, the guys who don't even need to work hard. Will Anderson works harder than anybody on the field, and he's the most talented. Life is about what you do with what you got. You can't control the deck of cards you get, but you can control how you play them. I tweeted this out yesterday, and hey, looks like a lot of people agree with me. Jimbo Fisher is the most overrated head coach of all time. I will continue to say this until the day I die, because I guess people just don't believe me or something. I don't care if Texas A&M gets 4,000 5-star recruits in the next 3 years. They will never, ever, in a million years, win a championship with Jumbo Fisher coaching that team. He's a fraud. Do y'all know what a fraud means? It means he's not who he appears to seem. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. Have some of y'all noticed over the past couple of years, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for A&M, they're still wishy-washy. They're still not all too comfortable in the offense. To go along with that, and this is a perfect example, look at Alabama yesterday. They inserted a backup quarterback who is a freshman quarterback, and he goes out there and he looks like Lamar Jackson 2.0. Do you really think it's a coincidence that happens? No, it's the game plan. And for those of you trying to say, well, oh, that backup quarterback for Alabama, he's a 4-star recruit. Well, Haynes King for Texas A&M was a 5-star recruit, and he still sucks. Max Johnson was a good quarterback at LSU last year, and he's still sucking. I'm not talking about this any longer. Texas A&M sucks, Jimbo Fisher's a fraud, and that's all there is to it. I'm not going to sound like a broken record player. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm still pissed off how he disrespected Nick Saban in the offseason, taking personal shots at him. And, well, I'll leave it at this. We'll let our game do the talking next week. Viewer discretion is advised for my preview video before Saturday that's going to come out on Thursday. Moving on to our night games, we got Georgia and Mizzou. You can't make this stuff up. I love to see this because you got Georgia fans on their high horse. They're getting all cocky now saying, hey, we're the new Alabama. Alabama, they're starting to fall off slowly. They're still good, but they're falling off. We're the new Bama and blah, 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 blah. Shut up. You just got served a piece of humble pie by the worst team in the SEC. First things first, before we go any farther, and Georgia did get exposed. I'll talk about that in just a second. I want to get this out there and make it clear. To all my Georgia fans out there, and this may shock some of y'all, I want y'all to be proud about this win, and I'll explain why. And no, I'm not joking or trolling, I'm being dead serious. For all of my overweight 45-year-olds who are eating cheesy puffs on the couch criticizing games that have never played a sport in their life, they're not going to understand this. But for all my former or current athletes that have played at a high level, you're going to understand exactly what I'm about to say. Winning on the road, whether it's football, basketball, water polo, lacrosse, swimming, is hard, period, the end. I don't care if the team is 0-40, winning on the road is hard. It's even harder when you're the number one, let me repeat that, the number one team in the country. Why is that? Because you're going to get everybody's best shot. So not only number one is it hard to win on the road, but number two, that other team, this is their Super Bowl. For Missouri, this was their national championship, and most people aren't going to get that. I've been on both sides of it, so I get it perfectly. I've been on undefeated teams where we're going into a road game where that team has no business beating us and we barely win, and I've been on very bad teams where we're playing a team that's undefeated and we have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Georgia fans, I mean this sincerely. There's no reason for you to feel bad about your team or feel bad about barely beating Missouri, which is an SEC team, by 4 points. Georgia still got exposed, don't get me wrong, but a win is a win. It's the same thing with the Alabama and Texas game. Everybody was trying to say, oh, Matt, your team got exposed. Alabama isn't that good, blah, 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 blah. We still won the game on a road and tough environment against a team that has talented players. What are you talking about? This was a gutsy win, and for all my people out there, don't act like every single national champion doesn't have a game where everybody thinks they're going to blow them out and they barely win by a field goal or something. Why is everybody acting brand new to this? This is college football. This happens. I wanted to get that out there first. Never, and I mean never, apologize for winning a game, especially on the road. That's a big win. Now, with that being said, with the good, you're also going to get the bad. You got exposed. It is clear as day to see Georgia is not all that in a bag of chips, and they're not as good as we thought they were after they destroyed Oregon. They're still one of the top 3 teams in the country, but they're not as good as we originally thought. I learned a couple of different things from this game, and the bad part about this for Georgia is Alabama is going to turn on this film and they're going to watch it, and they're going to exploit the same thing Missouri did. The first thing I learned, and we should all know this, but I saw it on TV live for the first time, this Georgia defense isn't even close to last year. They're a good defense, not a great defense. And the one thing I also learned is you can run on them. There is gaps and holes that last year, there wasn't gaps and holes. You were not going to run on this Georgia team. They had too many big guys in there clogging up the lane. This year, though, yeah, there's definitely going to be some holes in lanes. You can pop off a 50-yarder like it's nothing. I saw Missouri do it a couple times. And if Missouri do it, yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs in Alabama can definitely do it as well. So if I was a Georgia fan, I would watch out for that. The run defense, not quite all there. To go on top of that, there is throwing lanes, and you can exploit this secondary in the passing defense. It's going to take a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud to do that because Missouri's quarterback, obviously, he wasn't good enough to throw the ball 40 times and just completely shred the Georgia team. But Georgia fans, you saw it last year. I don't have to explain it. Bryce Young can and will do that. You're looking at the score sheet right here going, well, Matt, Missouri only scored 22 points, but if you watch this game, you know Missouri, they was driving the ball on Georgia. Missouri's problem is they couldn't get 7 points. I think they had, what was it? It was 15 points on just field goals. That kicker, what about the kicker? The fat kicker, the thicker kicker, the minion-looking dude, he was going off. My apologies, Mevis. I'm not calling you fat as like being for real. It's a joke. I think y'all get that. It's 2022. I don't want to offend anybody. You know how that goes. Missouri simply couldn't push the ball in. On the flip side for Georgia's offense, didn't impress me. Good old Stetson DoorDash Bennett. That's the Stetson DoorDash Bennett I know the best. He proved last night he is still mediocre. Is he going to make some good throws here and there? Yes, but a lot of you forget to take into account he's throwing to the best of the best wide receivers and tight ends. A lot of people are going to try to be these box score gurus where you pull it up and see, well, Matt, Bennett had 300 passing yards. Okay, I understand that, Buckaroony, but here's this. A lot of those yards are off of bubble screens to the tight ends and 5-yard dump-offs where the receivers or tight ends are catching a 5-yard pass and they're running 30 or 35 yards down the field. When it comes to throwing the ball downfield and trying to expand the defense, Stetson Bennett still sucks at that. Don't get it twisted, Georgia fans. Y'all are crying in the offseason that Bennett was coming back. You know deep down he's not that good. He's still mediocre at best, but here's the good thing. That's all Georgia needs him to be. Get the ball to Brock Bowers, get it to Darnell Washington, those tight ends, and let them do the work. And yes, that was good enough to beat Missouri, but that's not going to be enough to beat your Alabamas and Ohio States of the world. I thought the Georgia running backs played really well. I like the McIntosh dude. I think that's my favorite Georgia running back. He's just so explosive. Let's get down to business, though. Even though Missouri was up in this game 16-3 and in the fourth quarter 22-12, I never for a second thought Georgia was going to lose. Maybe some of you are just like me. Let me know in the comment section, but you could just get the feel and vibe like, okay, Georgia, they're going to catch up and turn it on. Missouri can't score a touchdown. Eventually, Georgia, they'll get in the end zone. I never for a second thought Missouri was going to win this game, and I'm not lying about that. I have nothing to lie about. It just had that feel and vibe like, okay, Georgia's struggling, but they'll come out of here with a win. And eventually that happened. Now, you see that number 1 by Georgia's name? Yeah, it doesn't belong there anymore. They are now the 3rd best team in the country. I don't know if it will be this way, but the new ranking should be Alabama number 1, Ohio State 2, and Georgia 3. Alabama is the best team in the country so far. If we're going off of a week-to-week scale, they just beat a top 20 team on the road with a backup quarterback by 23 points. They should be number 1. I can already hear, though, Ohio State fans run to the comments, well, Matt, we won 49-10. You played Rutgers. You're in the Big Ten. The Big Ten sucks. I don't care. Until you play in a real conference, you're not getting the respect from me. Ohio State, yeah, I think you're a great team, but you play nobody. We could argue about this all day, but here's the bottom line, and here's something we can agree on. The top 3 teams in the country is Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. However you want to rank them, I'm cool with that, but those are the top 3 teams. The gap from the top 3 teams and the 4th best team, shoot, man, I don't even know if it's on the same bracket or level. For example, everybody's like, oh yeah, top 3, Ohio State, Georgia, Bama, whatever order, and then 4 through 10, it could be anybody. And I'll tell you this right now, I certainly don't believe Michigan is the 4th best team in the country. Come on, man. I'd put Clemson there right now. I am very curious. I already know you're going to let me know your thoughts, and I want to see what y'all guys say. Drop the comments down below. Is Georgia overrated, or was it just a struggle win? I don't think Georgia's overrated. I think it's just a struggle win, but Alabama is the new number 1 team, in my humble opinion. Moving on to our last game we're really going to talk about. I'll talk about USC a little after this. We got Clemson with DJ Ugabadoogie and NC State. Not too shocked about this. I predicted Clemson to win, and it's looking like this quarterback controversy with DJ Uiagalelei and K. Klubnik, it's officially over. Dabo Swinney loves DJ. He backs him 100%, and he's been playing well. 21 for 30, 200 yards, touchdowns, 0 INTs, QBR 82.4. I thought he played good. It's just kind of hard with DJ because he plays good and he shows flashes of greatness. There's just something missing about his game, whereas I don't get the feel as if he's a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, and he can win you a championship if you need that 1, 2, or 3 big-time throws. Maybe he can prove me wrong and a lot of other fans wrong, but that's what I see. He plays good enough to win these games against NC State. I just don't know if he can play good enough to beat a Bama, Georgia, or Ohio State. As to why NC State was ranked the 10th best team in the country, I have no idea. This is the same team that should have lost to East Carolina. I think at best they were the 20th best team in the country heading into this game. I'm going to keep this short and simple. NC State's not that good, and Clemson should have won this game, and they did. Whoa. Hold on. I almost forgot to bring this up. What about Georgia Tech upsetting ranked Pittsburgh? Georgia Tech has been one of the worst teams in the country. They fired their head coach, and now they're beating top 25 teams. What's going on? I stayed up real late to watch this one. I think it ended at like 12:30 Central Time. We had USC and Arizona State. Caleb Williams was back to his normal self. Played awesome. 350 passing yards, 3 touchdowns to a strange 1 interception. He doesn't throw a lot of picks. Arizona State is pitiful. USC, they won this one easily, and then Oregon beat Stanford. That's it for the recap. This video has been extremely long. I am beyond curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But, right away, Millie!